Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whichever location you are watching me from. My name is Dunzo from Dunzo Lore Accountancy Tutorial. Today I will be taking us through residency for UK tax purposes. This is particularly for individual tax purposes. Criteria for determining residence for business for tax purposes for businesses are quite different from that of individual. This topic today is for individual tax purposes. Right. The resident criteria is important when ascertaining the tax treatment of UK and overseas income and capital gain tax. Right. Basically, if you are resident, you'll be taxed on your worldwide income. In other words, if you are non-UK resident, you are only taxable on income earned and arising from UK. How to determine your residency? Very important. We have three steps to determine residency for individual. We have the automatic overseas test, we have the automatic UK test, and the sufficiency ties test, where the first two are inconclusive. We then use the third one, which is the sufficiency tie test, to determine your residency for tax purposes. So that's it explained below that. Okay. The automatic overseas test, all right. According to automatic overseas residency test, an individual is deemed automatically not resident in UK if any of the following applies. So if any of this applies, you are not UK resident. So if you spend less than 16 days, if you spend less than 16 days in UK, or you spend more than 16 days but less than 46 days in a tax year, so long as they are not deemed residents in UK in the 3 previous tax year. So we look at the 3 previous tax year. Okay. If you're not deemed resident in those 3 previous tax year, then you are overseas, okay, resident. The third one is if you work full-time overseas, okay, that is you work full-time in foreign country throughout the tax year and spend less than 91 days in UK during that relevant tax year, you're automatically an overseas resident. All right. If any of these 3 apply to you, you are automatically overseas resident. The automatic UK test. All right. So if these 3 are satisfied, number 1, you are in UK for 183 days or more, all right, or you have a home. Doesn't matter whether you own a building, your property, but it's available for you to stay in UK for the tax year, or you engage full-time in UK during the tax year with less than 25% of the work performed overseas, you are automatic UK resident, okay, for tax purpose. Well, as I said, where the first 2, automatic overseas, automatic UK, are not conclusive, then we have to use the sufficiency ties to UK test to determine your residency. Right. The sufficiency ties test to determine your residence for tax purposes. These ties are categorized into 5. Then, depending on the number of days they have been present in UK and number of ties, your residency is determined. Right. This is the sufficiency ties text. As stated in my previous slide, where an individual resident status is not conclusively determined by the automatic residency test, then the following sufficiency ties are applied with consideration to the individual residency status in previous tax years. They include whether the individual have or was 1, have a close family, it could be a spouse, civil partner, or a child who is still a minor in UK. The individual have accommodation available for 91 days, okay, in UK. 3, the individual was engaged in work of a substantive nature for at least 3 hours a day for at least 40 days in the tax year. 4, have lived in the UK for more than 90 days in either of the 2 last tax year before the tax year in consideration. All right. And the 5th one is was deemed resident, that is, if in the last 3 tax year the individual spent more time in UK than any other country in the tax year. Having said, these 5 sufficient tie tests are used in conjunction with number of days spent in UK, okay, based on your previous status to determine an individual residencies in the tax year in question. So these sufficient ties are now used in conjunction with the number of days in UK to determine whether you are a UK resident. So let's look at how this works. Now, the deemed residents, which is the 5th one, you will be deemed to be resident in UK for the tax year if you were resident in UK or have UK ties for the current tax year, or we are present in UK for more than 30 days during the tax year. Okay, it doesn't matter if you didn't spend the midnight. All these criteria must be met, okay, to certify the deemed residency rule. Now, this is a table, okay, of days and ties of residency determination. So the first column is the number of days which is used in conjunction with the ties. Okay, so if row 1 less than 60 days in UK, the second column, which is previously resident in UK, you are automatically not resident, doesn't matter. And even when you are previously resident and not resident in UK, you are still not resident in UK. So if you spend less than 16 days, okay, in UK, you are automatically not resident, whether you were resident or not in UK. That is, whether you are previous resident or not, you are not resident in UK. The second row, which is you spent, okay. Now, this is where the ties will come to play if you are previously resident in UK. If you have 4 more ties in UK, then you will be considered resident. But if you are not previously resident in UK, if you stay between 16 and 45 days, automatically you are not resident. 46 days to 90 days, okay. If you are previously resident in UK, you need at least 3 or more ties to this particular number of days to be resident in UK. But if you are previously not resident in UK, you need at least 4 ties to make you resident. Okay. If you spend for 91 to 120 days in UK, this stay more days in UK. But if you are present resident in UK, you only need 2 more ties to be considered resident in that particular year. But if you are previously not resident in UK, you need 3 more ties to be considered resident in UK. But again, if you spend between 121 and 183 days in UK, if you are previous resident, you only need 1 more ties to be considered resident in that particular year. But if you are not previous resident in UK, you need 2 more ties to this number of days to be considered UK resident for tax purposes. However, if you spend over 183 days in UK, more than 183 days in UK, and whether you were previous residents or not, you will be considered automatically residents in UK. This table is very important to decide your resident status, where the automatic overseas test and the automatic UK test did not give us a conclusive decision whether you are a UK resident. So look at it properly. It will help you to determine your tax residency. Okay? If you're happy, thank you for watching. I know it's not that straightforward, but go through those rules and the slides and then determine your UK resident status. Please, thank you for watching. If this is your first time, please do subscribe. Okay? And I thank my existing subscriber for continuing watching. And please do like and share my material for others to benefit from this tutorial. Thanks and see you in my next video. Bye for now.